Hello, just bear with me, I'm just setting up. So I'm hoping you've been able to find 2 tins of tinned tomatoes or baked beans or something to bring with you. They're not needed immediately, so if you need to run off and get them, that's absolutely fine. Just bear with me whilst I just sort myself out. So I'm going to leave you looking at an empty room for a moment. Hold on. Sorry about this. Bit of silence. I should have some green sleeve music playing in the background or something, really, shouldn't I? Just bear with me with the music. Bear with me. So if you've just joined, I would like it if you're able to get hold of 2 tins of food, something like, not potatoes, we can bring potatoes, 400 grams of tinned anything, chickpeas, baked beans. Sorry, I'm just setting up. But hi, Moya. Nice to see you again. Right, here we are. So, hopefully, I've changed the exercise ever so slightly this evening. You will notice, as if you keep going with them, is I will change the pattern ever so slightly so that we're not doing the same thing week in, week out. Hi, Moya. Hello, Stewie. So we will hopefully keep things a bit interesting. The main ones that will change will probably be the strength ones, because mobility is going to be a lot about just keeping things free and moving. The strength is the one that the body is going to adapt and change to over a period of time. So I will change them so that we have a bit of crossover and bits and pieces are being worked out at different times. So sometimes it'll be a bit more emphasis on upper body, sometimes a bit more emphasis on lower body. None of these exercises should be painful. None of them should aggravate any symptoms you already have. If you get any new symptoms or anything you're concerned about, hi Lawrence, please get in touch. My email address is info@stonehengeosteopath.co.uk. So if you have any issues, I'm quite happy to answer any questions, queries. If I need to adapt any exercises I'm doing, then I can quite happily do that for you. So if we're ready to get started, a couple of minutes in past 5 o'clock, let's get going. So you want your 2 tins of food. So they're not urgent for this minute. We're going to start off with mobility, but 2 tins of food, 400 grams of something, baked beans, tomato soup, whatever you've got to hand. We'll need them for the strength of training. So you need a worktop, kitchen worktop, or a stable surface, or a kitchen chair, like my reliable one there. There for the balance exercises later on. So we're going to start off with a bit of mobility. So just some shoulder shrugs, just to get freed up a little bit. I'm just going to raise you up a little bit. Could sing a song about that. Sorry, that's a bit better. So shoulder shrugs, going to circle them. That will help free up the movement through your shoulders, through the ribs, through the upper back. Start warming that area up. We're going to do what I call a snow globe. So we imagine we're in a nice big glass ball, and we've got paint all over our fingertips, and we are going to cover the inside of this glass ball with paint. So I encourage people to do as much of the range of movement as they can. Obviously, I understand that some people have shoulder issues where it's a bit uncomfortable to be over 90 degrees. So if you're comfortable going up to shoulder height, just go up to shoulder height. But make sure you do the range of movement that you can do without getting pain. If you're able to push it a little bit and you can go up into above your head, then do that. What you're aiming to do is to follow what your hand's doing with your head. So your eyes are following your fingertips. So even if you're only getting to shoulder height, you're watching your hand. The idea of this, and we'll do it both sides, is that you're getting a range of movement through your thoracic spine. So if you look at me from the side, as I'm doing that, there's a bit of extension through the upper back, a bit of rotation, you're getting the thoracic spine and the ribs moving and freeing everything up. You could do both hands, depending on range of movement, how comfortable you are. Obviously it's not going to work so well going side to side like that, but both hands up in the air is quite nice. The next exercise is a similar sort of idea, getting that upper back moving. You're going to do a figure of 8 with your elbows, so your hands are holding either side of your thoracic spine. You bring your elbows together in front of you and draw a big figure of 8 with your elbows. So you're imagining that you're drawing figure of 8 in the air in front of you, and that just gets your upper back, your ribs, your shoulder blades doing side bending, rotation, extension and a bit of flexion. This just is opposing what we do all day, where all our work is pulling us forward into our anterior position and shortening and tightening everything through the front and weakening and stretching everything through the back. So we're just trying to encourage that opening up of the chest. Last, we're just going to do a little bit neck movement. So to start with, I just want you to give yourself a double chin. So standing nice and tall, head up, bring your chin into your neck. Not very attractive, you might not want to do it in front of somebody you like, but you're just bringing your chin into your neck, creating a double chin effect. What that does is it opens up all the joints on the back of the neck, which can be quite a nice movement to do. If you get neck discomfort, you're just going to hold it for about 5-6 seconds, relax and repeat. And you can do so again, holding your head nice and straight. You look over your shoulder, let your chin rotate around, just getting that movement through, so that we're changing direction of the head and the neck. Because often if we're stuck watching box sets, films, TV, reading, crosswords, jigsaw puzzles, everything's forward, chin's jutting forward, everything's squashing in the back, so that double chin exercise is quite nice for that. And the range of movement stuff just gets that movement through the neck, which we might not be doing quite so much at the moment because we're not looking around, we're driving, we're not walking about and looking at the sights. Okay, so that's the mobility. A lot of that is upper body, because lower body will get the mobility going in a moment just through the exercise we're going to do. So first strength exercise we've been doing before. We're going to do a press up against the worktop. This time the sessions are a little bit more focused on upper body. So we're trying to maintain strength through your shoulders and upper arms and chest. So find a position towards near the worktop where you're either stood very close, depending on your confidence in your strength. If you feel quite confident and you want a little bit of a harder workout, step further away, keep your feet about hip width apart and lower your chest towards the worktop. So ideally, with strength training, you're looking for about a repetition of 10 times. So done 3. I have to apologise because I often lose count when I'm doing this because I talk so much. 9, 10. So you should be feeling that through the front of the chest, down the back of the arms a little bit, maybe across the top of the shoulders. Whilst you're doing that exercise, you're holding your abs in ever so slightly in your lower tummy. Okay, so that press ups against the worktop, you're aiming to do repetition of 10 to start with, building up your strength. Depending on how comfortable you are, depends on how close you need to be to the worktop. Okay, none of these exercises should aggravate anything. So if you're getting new symptoms or anything you're concerned about, don't be afraid to contact me or email me or somebody in my profession and ask questions about why you're getting new symptoms doing certain exercises, and see what I can do to help. So secondly, now hopefully you've all gone and got your tins that I asked you to pick up earlier. I've done the silly thing of getting 2 different things. I've got sloppy chickpeas and quite solid feeling rice pudding. Both 400 grams. We're going to start off with the shoulder press, so I have to check the roof because it declines behind me. So if this is too much, don't do it with the weights to start with. Get used to the range of movement. So we're doing shoulder press. Again, this depends on discomfort in the shoulders. So if you can do full range, that's the movement you're going for. If you're a bit more comfortable with not coming quite up in front of you, just do it where you can. It will still work the shoulders, just a slightly lower down muscle group. And if you prefer to sit, do that too. So do sitting, shoulder press, tins in your hand, and you're just going to bring the tins up to meet above your head and coming back down. So we're aiming for 10, 3, 4, 5. As you're doing this, you want to be slightly holding your tummy in, little bit of tension through your lower abs. I think that's 8, 9, 10. So that's working the top of the shoulders and the back of the arms. You can do it with or without the tins. You can do front raise. So again, you can do it sitting if you want, or you can do it stood. If you're doing it stood, have your feet hip width apart. Standing just adds that little extra challenge because you're having to balance and hold yourself taut through your pelvis, so a bit of tension through your lower abs, a bit of tension through your bottom. If you'd rather not have to be worrying about balance at this moment and you're more concerned about getting the technique right, take your seat. Okay, so forward raise, so you're just lifting your arms up to shoulder height. So this may benefit people who are getting a bit of shoulder discomfort and don't like the shoulder press. So you're just bringing your arms up to shoulder height. If you'd rather do it without tins, then just bring your arms up. And you're just holding for a couple of breaths in front of you, about 10 times. Okay, so with or without the tins just add a little bit of resistance and make your muscles have to work that little bit harder. So we're just going to finish off the last 3 with the tins. 2, 1. So third one for upper body is going to be a lateral raise. So you're bringing your hands out to the side. Again, if this is particularly uncomfortable, you find there's a point at which it hurts quite a lot. Recently I had a bit of shoulder problem and I managed to work it out with a little bit of rehab, just bringing my arm up to the point it hurt, held it for a count of 2 or 3 just to breathe a couple of times, and then brought it back down. And then over a period of a few days of doing this, I was able to get a bit more comfortable. So never work into your pain zone. Just go up to the point where you're tickling the pain and you can just about feel it, and then stop, hold it there, and then relax the body. So with the tins, so you're going to have your thumbs facing forward, so you're in that position. Bring your arms up, hold, back down. Again, you can do it stood. Or sitting, if you prefer not to have to worry about balance. And you do it with or without the tin. Sometimes just doing it without the tin and getting the technique is enough for some people. Okay, so lower abs should be a little bit of tightness through your lower tummy muscles. So your bikini muscles, if you put bikini on and go onto the beach, you hold your abs, that's the muscles I want you to work. So you should still be able to breathe, but just a little bit of tension through your tummy. So I think that's 10 because I can feel that in my shoulders. Right, so moving on, put your weights to one side. We'll need them again tomorrow. We're going to go back to the worktop. So this time, this is be familiar to anybody who's watched the last couple of videos I've done. We're going to do a lateral leg raise. So you're going to hold on to with your fingers onto the worktop and just bring your leg out to the side, a little bit behind. So you're really working this buttock muscle and going into the side of the thigh. If you're doing it straight in front of you, then you're starting to work the front of the hip and the thigh. So we're going to keep repeating this up to 10 times. This is a nice exercise if you get a little bit of discomfort through your lateral hip, so your side of your hip. It can just help strengthen those muscle groups that are holding the thigh bone or the femur into the hip joint. because as we get older, I've noticed even hitting 40, your muscle tone drops off the cliff edge. So we have to work a bit harder to maintain it. And the problem is if we don't do enough to keep that muscle tone supporting your joints, things start to ache and become uncomfortable. So again, standing square, hips, feet about hip width apart, changing sides, use a worktop if you need to. Take your weight onto your sporting leg, you bring your leg out to the side. Bring attention through your glutes, so you're working this bit of your body, not this. This gets worked a lot with walking, sitting and standing. We want to get your bottom working, because that's what will bring the support and strength to your pelvis and your hips for balance, for getting up out of seats, for stability if you're stood in queues, which is happening quite a bit at the moment. Okay, so 10, I think I've done 8 or 9, not entirely sure. You'll have to tell me if my counting's well off, somebody tell me. So that's pelvis. I'm going to do a little bit for the lower limbs. So again, you might want the worktop. This is a heel raise, and this is strengthening the lower part of your calf. I'm just going to angle the phone a little bit. So your feet are square on the floor. Easiest version is to do 2 feet at the same time. So you're using the worktop as balance, and again we're doing 10. I think that's 4. So 2 feet together is the easiest because you're sharing your body weight through your both feet. If that feels quite comfortable and you can do 10 really quite comfortably, then change and do 1 foot at a time. So get the other one out of the way, either just hang it or hook it around the other foot, and just do your 10 on one leg. So 10. I think that's 8 actually. I'm going to repeat the other side. Just aware of time, don't want to keep you here for 45 minutes. 5. And it's just a pause at the top of the heel raise, just lifting your feet, your heel off the floor, and you should feel a bit of a burn down the back of the leg. Okay, so that's 10. So we've worked upper body, buttocks, calf muscles. We're going to do one last one to work glutes, so your gluteal muscles, your buttock muscles and your back. Just going to lower the table a little bit because you're going to be either on all fours on the floor if you can comfortably do that. If not, and you need to be on a bed, this might be one you do later. So you'll be on all fours, hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips, so you should look like a box. I don't want this isn't supportive enough. Your bottom needs to be over your knees, okay? So move my chair out of the way. Head neutral, you're looking in front of you and down, not like this because that sticks your bottom in the air and arches your back. You want to be flat through your back, looking forward and down. You're going to do opposite to arm to opposite leg if you can cope with that, which is this. If that's too much, then we start off with one leg. Okay, so that will work your bottom, and you should be holding your lower abs. So opposite arm to opposite leg if you feel comfortable and confident and you're on a stable surface. So if you're doing that, carry on. If you prefer and you feel a bit like that's a bit much at the moment, just lift your leg. This will still work your bottom, it will still work your proprioception because you're having to balance, and it still work your upper body because you're having to hold your body weight. I think that's 10. So changing sides, if you're happy to do opposite arm to opposite leg, then do so. So that's to start you off, doing 10 of those. If you prefer, then you'll have your weight shared across your body and just do your leg and do that tightness through your lower tummy to support your pelvis, and you should feel it through your buttock muscle, your gluteal muscle. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's the strength training. So we've done quite a coverage of most of the body. We're going to move on to stretching. So hopefully I've got you in the right place to see what I'm doing on the floor. Again, somebody will have to tell me if I need to do better camera angles. So lying on my back, I'm just going to bring my knees up to my chest and just stretch out through my low back. You're very welcome to hold your knees, but sometimes people don't like that, too much pressure through their knee joint. And they'd rather just hold onto the back of the thigh. That still does the same thing, stretch out the low back, a little bit into the glutes. You're going to hold each stretch for about 15-25 seconds. Second one, you're going to make sure your knees, if I come towards you actually, knees are on top of each other, arms out straight. Make sure your back's straight. And you're going to look in the opposite direction and try and relax into that position if you can. So that will stretch out the low back. Come back up, change sides, make sure your body's running straight down, you're not disappearing off to the side. Keep your knees on top of each other, we call it stacked, so make sure your knees are stacked, one on top of the other. Face the other way. I'm going to hold for about 15-20 seconds. Some people like to hold it for 25-30 seconds. It's just enough time to let the body realise that you've held a muscle in a particular stretch for a while and can relax in that position. So, going back to neutral. I'm going to bring myself to sitting. The next stretch I'm going to do is to articulate the lumbar spine, and we do on a chair. We will move this onto the floor in the coming weeks, but this week I think at the moment we'll just start doing it on the chair, so hopefully you can see what my back's doing. This is called pelvic tilt, but this is a sitting pelvic tilt. So you're going to sit nice and tall and let your back slump, and that might feel a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit achy across the low back, as long as you are not getting pain going down into your legs, getting new symptoms. It's just a mild bit of discomfort, and it stops as soon as you sit up straight. Then it may just be that the back's adjusting to the position. And slumping isn't a bad thing as long as you don't sit like it for 2 hours. So you slump, come back to neutral, and then arch your back. So you're rolling your hips forward and creating a curve through the lumbar spine. Some people don't like that movement, it can be uncomfortable, but it's good to be able to do all those movements through your lumbar spine. And the fact is, if we're not moving so much and walking about and going shopping and doing, going to National Trust, which I love, going to their gardens and houses, walking about and just being up and about and moving around, then you don't get that movement going through your lumbar spine. The daily walks will help if you're out walking, that's great. Okay, so curve through the back, neutral, let it relax. Curve, sit tall, so that's neutral, then curve through the back. Okay, and then what you should find is after a couple of repetitions, that sort of discomfort, and it should only be a mild tightness, eases with the movement, okay? So that's the fourth stretch. So this last stretch, because we've worked lower leg, calf muscles, we're going to stretch those out. So you're going to take a lunge position, or if you don't feel stable like that and you would prefer a bit more stability, use your worktop again, rest your hands on the worktop and stick your heel out behind you. So if I use the back of the chair, that's the sort of position you're in. And you should feel a bit of a stretch through the back of the calf. Again, you hold it 15 seconds and change legs, push your heel into the floor. Okay, so again, holding 15 seconds. And the final stretch is a chest stretch. So hands on your bum or your bottom, bring your elbows back towards you. You feel like you're stretching across here. If that's quite comfortable and you prefer a bit of a challenge, or you don't feel that stretch, link your hands together behind you and bring your shoulder blades back together. And again, you're getting that stretch across the front of the chest. Some people that just isn't possible with shoulders, so hand on bottom and bring your elbows back is often enough. Right, finally, we're going to work a little bit on balance. This is important because, again, if we're not on our feet and moving around lots, our body's ability to tell where it is in space reduced. So we're working on what we call proprioception, which is balance. This helps prevent the risk of falls. Combining that with the strength training, it just maintains or hopefully even improves your ability to be stable and reduces the likelihood that you're going to have a fall or a trip that results in a hospital visit or significant injury. So starting on one leg, if you need the back of the chair, rest your fingers on the back of the chair, standing nice and tall, lifting your leg. If that's quite comfortable, get your hands off the back of the chair and just make that leg work really hard. So this is a straightforward one-legged, standing on one leg, balanced. You do it both sides. It's important your hips stay level, so a little bit of tension through your abs. This can be really quite a challenge for some people if you're getting a bit of discomfort through the gluteal muscles or the lateral hip, because you're really making a big demand of those muscles to hold you stable. So that may be as far as you want to go, just standing on one leg, getting used to that, using the chair for reassurance if you need it. If you feel that's quite comfortable and you're ready to move on, then we're going to move on to a hip hike. So you assume the same position, get your leg up out of the way, weight going through one leg, hips level, bit of tension through your abs, through your lower tummy. The hip hike is you let your hip drop down, so you're in a slump position. Do not push up on this hand, you're just using that to know that there's something there for balance. You're going to bring your hip up using these muscles. So you're slumped, bringing your hip up. This is a balance exercise that's made harder because you're now making these gluteal muscles have to do something quite challenging to keep you in that position. Okay, so this shouldn't be painful, it might just be a bit of hard work on balance. And change feet. So chairs where you need it for support, let your hip drop down so you're sticking your bottom out to the side. So if you're looking at me from the behind, I look like that. And then you're going to bring your hips up to level, lower tummy tight, bring your hips up. Okay, so you repeat and hold so that you're making the balance element a bit more than the strength element. Okay, so hopefully that will leave you in good stead. If you've enjoyed yourself, let me know. If you have any issues or problems or discomfort that you want to ask me about, please email me at info@stonehengeosteopath.co.uk with any queries or questions you may have. Thank you, nice to see you, look after yourselves.